Get ready for battle. Good luck.
All right. I think there it is. Yep, there's my sound. All right, so we are going to take out the F-84 and we're going to see what we can do here with the Thunder Streak. It is all... Oh, we got one human being, but it is going to be all garrisons on this one. So we are just going to be hopping from zone to zone here and see what we can do. We have gone with a bit of a survivability build. And you can see we've got very robust amount of hit points at 668. Once we are able to specialize the platform, I think I'm going to carry on with a very similar build and see what we can do here. The aircraft doesn't hurt for maneuverability and speed, so I don't feel like I'm taking much away from it by going with a build like this. And being able to survive the onslaught of AA fire is kind of the name of the game here, so that way you can go in and single aircraft try and capture a zone despite the plethora of aircraft that might be in here trying to defend. And there's two, and with one tiny Tim and two shoot downs and a little bit of help, we managed to get this zone. Now we have enough time to be able to shoot over to the enemy's side over here and see if we might be able to sneak some of the capture from this site. Oh, we might be running out of time though. We're going to see if we can get a rocket out. And fire. Oh, he managed to capture it. We'll see if we can take Antares here on. Again, with our robust amount of HP and defense. We'll see if we can keep alive in his tail gunner, which I failed to do in my F7U video a little while ago. There we go. And we nearly got our rockets back. Well, we do have our 12 rockets left. So let's go ahead and go towards the mid here, since we already have some allies engaged and we won't be the only one involved here. I do see the Hunter there and a Spitfire that looks like he is vectored across my field of vision here. Looks like we just activated our last, or I should say, my resilience skill that we talked about the other day. And I'm actually going to pull away from these guys. I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3, 4 combination here. Enough to be able to take that out and see if that's enough spread. There we go. And now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And that's enough to be able to capture the sector, and we managed to survive the continuous onslaught from the enemy. We are about to have our tiny Tims back, and we're going to head over the garrison we were unable to protect earlier and see what we can do over here. The name of the game is always be capping, right? So let's see what we can do when it comes to this next sector. We're actually going to hit the booster here, or the cooler, I should say, and try to get in on these aircraft that are defending. Few hits, not quite enough, but I'm more worried about these heavies up high, as I can kind of outclimb these other aircraft that are down below me. We did eventually get some hits in, and you can't entirely capture a zone strictly by killing aircraft, so we're going to see what we can do to make that a little bit more of the case here. Got another one, and now I've got these two tiny Tims, and I'm actually going to do a double launch right here. That should be enough range to be able to hit. There they go, and we managed to get the zone, and we are still up with the aircraft, which means we are building towards... What the heck? Where's that ground attacker? I could have swore I just saw him down below me. Let's try and protect this zone best that we can. Closer target. Go up against this guy now. Got him, but it was not in time. So we're going to power through and go after the zone that's contested by our teammates and try and keep one zone ahead if we can here. I do see an LA-15, but he is engaging other aircraft. We'll see if we can get the jump on him here. Guns on early. And picked it up. My rockets are just about back as well. But since my allies are still over the center, I might be going to the mid here to try and help these guys out. See that heavy up there? We have a light fighter in the zone and a multi-roll inbound. We're going to go for another climb up after the heavies. But they are drawing us back down into fighter territory, the light defense aircraft. Speaking of which, there is a light defender. We can get these guns on here in this pass. We might go for the rocket run. Alright, that should be good. And we know a 1, 2, 3 here combination works, and a 1... That might not have been enough there. Whoa, somebody's on us. We managed to trigger... Oh, apparently you can trigger it more than once in a sortie, because that just happened. And that should be enough to be able to flip this zone again. And now I guess we're going back the way we came. What's the multi-roll up there? Jawa. We're going to dip the nose, get a little bit of speed, and come back this way. And that is a hunter. Okay. Not too worried about him. But maybe the I-215 I am worried about, because he can already get rounds on my aircraft right now. Yeah, I think we're engaged at this point. As long as he doesn't get a chance to get a brushing pass with those big old cannons, we should be alright. He's kind of in the same state we are, where he doesn't necessarily have a huge advantage in any one particular area of his capability, but he is worth 60 capture points if I can get these machine guns to just pepper away just a little bit more of his health. And now we are going to go for a double shot here. And then a 1, 2, 3. Oh, resilience popped again. And I see you. I know what you're doing. I'm not going to let it happen. Not this time. Not that it happened before. We are in his tail gunner fire here. And he is definitely dedicated to try and taking us out here. It is squall line. So we really need to secure this aircraft kill. Come on. There we go. They're still on us. Alright, we survived. We need to get a little bit of regen here. Very close match right now. I'm going to do that. See if we can get some aircraft on him. It looks like we also have a J7W on him as well. I don't want to catch some stray flak. It'll stop my regen, because we definitely need that. Alright, we're back up to pretty decent hit points at this stage. We do not have our air-to-ground ordnance back just yet. How's he doing down there? He's still doing okay, but I think it's more worth my while to go after these aircraft. So let's see if we can catch an aircraft that's engaged.
Step it up. We're losing the battle.
Yeah, we're not quite losing the battle. We're doing alright. I have my rockets back. There we go. And there's this guy again. Is he vectored on me? He absolutely is. So we're just going to keep doing stuff like this. It looks like he is going for the capture. At this point, I'm not sure I can ignore him any longer. Is he going to try and bomb trap us? That would be the smart move here. But I guess he was not planning on that. This guy is on us with his huge honking cannons. Can we get around on him? Don't even need to. We are so close. We actually need to get that center zone in order to make this a secured victory. So let's get over there, V. You have the firepower to do it. We're going to ignore that guy. All we need is one ground target. Okay, that gave us that, but we're not quite out of the woods. I feel like it's still too close to call. We do have some ordnance. Gotta keep an eye out for what's above us and around us here. I see the LA-15 up here. I might be getting lured into a trap right now. In fact, I'm pretty sure I am, because there is the defense aircraft vectored for my position. Come on, V. Get that plane turned around and get on this target. Come on. Get him. That's one more down. I'm gonna go for a... Was that not enough to get that one target? No, it was not. Can I get it with the rockets here? That's the goal. Picked it up. All enemy aircraft are destroyed, and that just put us up on the ticker there. Actually, it's not all aircraft destroyed. There's still one left. Why do you say all aircraft destroyed? That got us the victory though there, guys. That definitely clinched it. That was a really close match. I am happy about these results. Whew. I'll throw up the GG and a Gabreski, man, I'll tell you. This was, Keim had a bit of a tank build, and I'm like, that's weird. Why would you go with the tank build with one of the most maneuverable multi-rolls? At least in the American line, you get to these really maneuverable multi-rolls. And why would you use it like that? But here we are, and we are not even specialized yet, and using those rockets very liberally throughout the battle, just absolutely fantastic. Once we're specialized, we'll be able to unlock some modifications that allow us to be able to reload those munitions a little bit faster, and we can also optimize a little bit more of this tank build. I'll show you the skills I'm running and the equipment I'm running right now, and you'll understand how we're able to get this hit point numbers. Keim is actually running a build that gets you close to 1,000 hit points. I think it's 996, and I'm not sure what skills are used for that, but I'm pretty sure protection expert's in there somewhere. We managed to lock in 700 capture points, none while defending. This was a standard always be capping scenario, and we managed to capture 9 zones on that battle, and I'm really proud of that result. We are definitely still working at this aircraft, but just for those of you who are wondering, what does it take to get a Gabreski? You need to destroy at least 10 aerial targets and 7 ground targets in a single sortie in order to win, and that means 1 life. There it is. We ended up getting 15 aerial kills during that battle, and we managed to take out, it says 9 ground targets, and what did we need to get? 7? Yeah, 7 ground targets. So that's why I think Keim is constantly going after AA sites, because less munitions but still counts towards that tally. So we managed to get some pretty decent experience out of that as well for our ×3 for today's ×3 event. And we still made decent credits because obviously a victory and another skill point just got unlocked, so that's kind of nice. My build for this pilot, actually I just failed to spend it here. That's what I was supposed to do. We went with Keim's core build of these 3 skills, but then since we are working a tank build, we went with Protection Expert. I know Keim is also running the evasive target as well, so once I'm able to get 2 more skill points, we'll definitely be grabbing that, because that reduces damage received and chance of critical damage, as well as reduce pilot injury by 20% when you're actively engaged in maneuvering, and it also managed to gain and maintain high angular velocity in pitch and roll axes in order to activate this skill. So if you're just in a turning fight, period, this thing will end up actuating, and it reduces your incoming damage and chance of getting critical damage. And that makes a lot of sense with a tank build, because you'll see with my equipment, we are running the, come on, highlight there, the cockpit armor. Well, that it increases the resistance to injury for the pilot and the gunner, which we don't have. We did roll for increased aircraft HP as well, which is nice. And then we're also running reinforced skin. This reduces the chance of getting critical damage to your wings and your tail. So now imagine getting an extra 25% bump from running with evasive maneuvering. And then we also have on here the armor protection, which is going to prevent our engine from getting taken out. And if you notice there, I think we only lost our wing once there. So this aircraft really didn't run into too many problems when it came to losing pieces of the aircraft and losing functionality. And even if we did and we got low enough on health, resilience would activate. And it might just be me, but it looked like resilience activated a bunch of times, or at least a blue light went on to bring back all of our equipment. It says it's only supposed to be once per sortie, but it looks like it's activating more often than I would have normally thought. The next thing we would end up getting once we specialize this is I'd actually throw on reinforced airframe. Reinforced airframe is going to increase the aircraft HP by a significant amount and can also increase your resistance to fire, critical damage to wings yet again, and it just gives you a little bit of an advantage there. It can also increase your roll maneuverability and things like that, but that's really just to negate the loss of roll maneuverability from putting the reinforced airframe on your skin. The most important thing, though, is that we'll be able to put on the hardened pylons, which increase the reload speed. And the nice thing about hardened pylons is they can roll for benefits for either bombs or rockets. And since we're not a mixed loadout anymore, we can maximize all of those traits into maximizing the effectiveness of rockets, since that's pretty much all we carry. I used to look down on the Tiny Tims. I'm like, I don't know. Tiny Tims seem like they're a bit of a goofy weapon, but that assured kill on an AA site is absolutely huge. And once we do specialize it, we can ensure that we don't have a situation like we did at the end of the battle there, where you left a bunch of the site remaining, because we can increase the overall damage output with a consumable we can put on here as well. Again, all of these are only up to improved, but we'll obviously kick them up to the ultimate gear, which will maximize their effectiveness. And I think once we're able to get that reinforced airframe, that's actually going to increase our HP by 13%. But then bear in mind that with the skills that we have, Protection Expert's going to increase the positive effect of mounted equipment for aircraft durability and resistance to critical damage. In fact, now that I'm looking at this, and I'm going to do this live with you guys, and I know it costs a lot of credits, but I'm not buying planes these days. Why am I getting something that increases the effectiveness of mounted equipment for maneuverability and speed when we have not mounted any equipment that boosts that skill whatsoever? So I'm still going to keep Aerobatics Expert on here, Protection Expert, and we'll put on Resilience, but now I have the 3 points required, and I wish I would have done that from the beginning to reduce the amount of incoming damage while in a turning fight. All of these skills are essentially meant to keep us alive while we're dogfighting over a garrison or an airfield. So that way, while we're engaging those air defense aircraft, the flax effect is reduced because we're limiting the amount of incoming damage when we're maneuvering, and we're mitigating a lot of it with our Protection Expert. And that's why we were able to keep our aircraft throughout the duration of that battle without a single loss of the airframe. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that portion of the video. Now I'm going to jump into the history, and give me a second while I go ahead and do a quick lookup to refresh myself with some of the information I have about the F-84 Thunderstreak. All right, so jumping into the history here, the funny thing is that the F-84, the Bravo edition, the Alpha edition, the straight wing version that we see at Tier 9 was actually a bit of a flop. In a lot of ways, the problems were that, one, the straight wing design kept it from being able to compete at the same level as the F-86 Sabre, which is why it was put more into like an air-to-ground type of role, because it could still have the capacity with those wings to carry those munitions. But it suffered from some weird stall characteristics like a lot of the early stage jets did. In addition to that, despite the amount of thrust that these jets were able to produce, they found that they still had poor takeoff performance and just weren't at the same level as the F-86. So the F-84F was an attempt to sweep the wings, put in a bigger engine, and try and bring it up to par with the F-86 Sabre. And the funny thing is the J65 engines that they put in this aircraft were the reason why you see this fuselage being so tall, is because they had to accommodate the space for the larger, more powerful engine. But despite the increase in the engine's size and thrust, it still had the same issues that we saw in the F-84B. You would think that all these design improvements would have yielded something, but apparently it was all for naught. The other weird thing was that because of the way the engine's mounted, and I know it's hard to tell when you're looking at this fuselage, but the jet engine, the intake it's slightly angled the way that this thing's arranged, and because of that weird bend that it has inside of the fuselage, it actually resulted in a loss of power performance by I think about 500 pounds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking about 5,300 pounds of force, that means you've just knocked off nearly 10% of your power. So it was a big hit, and it prevented this thing from being as competitive against the F-86, which is what they were trying to do here. Now, again, with that said, it didn't stop them from putting this thing into full production. In fact, they put it into full production with this new J65 engine, and obviously a new fuselage meant a new designation, but they didn't have the swept wings in production yet. So they actually made something called the F-84G, which internally and based on the fuselage was identical to what you're seeing here with the F-84F. However, it was still utilizing straight wings. And then once they were able to get the wing production up and running, then we saw the F-84Fs come online. There was even a petition at one point to arrange to be able to put in the Sapphire engine from the UK, the British engine, because that actually had a robust amount of thrust as well, and they thought that might have mitigated some of the issues as well. The F-84F wasn't nearly as successful, obviously because of all the things that I said before, so they started trying to figure out new rules for it, and they actually made something called the RF-84F, and I actually got to see one of these on display at an Air Force base not too long ago. And the weird thing that they did is they actually encapsulated the nose in order to accommodate a camera in the front of the aircraft. But now you're all probably wondering, well, V, how does it get air into the jet intake if you just sealed off the nose? Well, they rerouted it to the wing roots, and it had these weird looking intakes in order for it to be able to get the air into the engine in order for it to burn. I'm going to try and throw up an image of what the RF-84F looked like, but it did have similar wing plane designs. So yeah, we're just looking at early stages of jet development and continued challenges as they tried to incorporate this new technology into their aircraft designs. And this is just an example of how they were able to take the lessons learned from this and be able to make more advanced jets later on. And I think a lot of us can kind of look back in history and see that from 1946 on through the 1960s and 70s, the Air Force and the Navy went through tons of different aircraft designs, and that's why we see so many available in a lot of our air parks. But the fact of the matter is, I think it was a pivotal moment in our understanding of a new propulsion system that resulted in so many different aircraft being produced so rapidly, as we had to learn through trial and error in order to perfect the process. And nowadays we're getting to the point where you're looking at F-16s and F-15s kind of hit that pinnacle of what a fighter can do with a jet engine, at least when it comes to the way that they've arranged the wings and the way they've optimized the cockpits. And now when you look at aircraft like the F-35 and even the F-22, they're almost more advanced versions of an already existing successful platform. I mean, the F-22 obviously has some different control surfaces, but in the grand scheme of things, it looks a lot like the way an F-15 was designed, but somebody transported into the future. And similarly, we see something like that with the F-35, the Joint Strike Fighter as well. So clearly we've kind of hit this point where we've been maximizing the jet technology, and it kind of makes you wonder what happens when we discover a new propulsion system. Are we going to go into another era of trial and error, or will we just have to use simulations using computer systems? But that means we're going to get a lot of paper fighters, if you would, as they continue to try and develop the technology. I find it interesting as kind of a social engineering here of how we try to challenge problems based on the available technology. And we had a lot of resources to put into the military back during that early stage of the jet era, at least on the American side of things. So trial and error was the only way to get it done. And then you see a lot of other countries kind of emulating the successes that have come out of a lot of that technological development. And I'm definitely not taking anything away from the Europeans. Obviously, you can see the development of the technology with the Eurofighter and the Gripen and things like that, relying more heavily on a delta wing. And a lot of that can, I think, be attributed to the Mirage F1 and the Mirage 2000 success with that delta wing design and how effective that can be in certain scenarios, especially as an intercept platform. So they developed that side of things. We kind of went more on the American side with a traditional wing and tail arrangement. But at the end of the day, it's really just what you need the aircraft to do. And we just see continued refinements of those already existing platforms. Now, enough of a diatribe on modern aircraft. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of history about the F-84F and a little bit of gameplay. And frankly, I'm just proud of the Gabreski I just achieved. So thanks for watching. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.